Hello guys, welcome to another video. And in this video, we're going to discuss about MongoDB and its execution. Okay, so you know that MongoDB is something that getting worldwide evolution with respect to the software field is concerned. Why? Because it can also be called as NoSQL DB. Basically, what SQL DB is all about? SQL DB means the data that you're going to store will be a structured one. But here the data that I'm going to store will be unstructured. Unstructured means what does it mean? No RDBMS. So I'm not going to follow any relational database management system here. Okay. Why? Because we don't have tables and fields. What does it mean? Let me increase the font size for the better viewing. There you see. Okay, so generally what happened with the SQL DB now guys, SQL is called as a relational database management system where whenever you want to store a data, you're going to store with the existing schema. That means you would have created the table earlier. Onto the specific table, what you're going to do is that you're going to store a content in the field. And field is also predefined one, correct? So by default, you would have created the field earlier where you will set some condition saying that this specific field gonna contain this number of data and this is going to be this a condition, this constraint. So that means what everything is predefined. So on storing of a data, you need to follow exactly the template that has been predefined. Okay. So here MongoDB is in a quite contradiction to that of what we seen in SQL. That's why we call it as it's NoSQL DB because I'm not going to follow any structure and I'm not going to have any tables and fields. Instead of tables and fields, I'm going to have something called collections and documents. What does it mean? Instead of table name, here we're going to call that as a collection because the name tells you the story. Collection means it is going to have a lot of collections together. What kind of collection? A document collection. Now comes the question, what kind of document? The document is what we call it as dictionary data. Dictionary data, okay? Dictionary data is what we call as documents. So in a layman term, we can call that as a dictionary document. In a normal technical term, we do call it as a BSON object. BSON is nothing but binary JSON. So what basically happens is that while you store a data into the document, you will be storing in the form of dictionary. Okay. So when you do so, when you store the data in the form of dictionary, what might happen is that each and every data or each and every document that you store will get converted into a binary object. So that is what we call it as BSON object. So basically, MongoDB is a NoSQL DB where I'm gonna have unstructured data in the form of document and all the set of document will be stored in collection. Okay. Why we should have a table? Because to have a segregation of data storage. Similarly here, whatever the specific data or specific set of data you're gonna store, you can create a different collection. Inside the collection, you're gonna have a lot of documents, and the document will be stored in the form of dictionary, or else we can call that as a JSON. And every JSON data that you store in MongoDB will have their own object representation of that. That means each and every document that I create or that I store will have their own object ID created. That's what we call it as JSON object. So this is the quick overview about the MongoDB. Okay. Now we'll see about the execution of MongoDB. As with most of the languages, most of the DB is concerned, we can execute this MongoDB in a three different layer. One, I can use the GUI, which is Compass or RoboMongo. Okay, Compass is something that default one of MongoDB. So when you download MongoDB, you're gonna have the Compass GUI that is getting downloaded by default. Or else, if you want to have a better tool for doing this data storage or other data related activity on the MongoDB, you can go for RoboMongo where you need to download it separately, right? The next way of executing a MongoDB is through its shell, through its shell, which is nothing but MongoDB shell. In ideal term, we do call it as through CLI, through command line argument. So what we do with the Python, what we do with the PostgreSQL, we're going to do with the same MongoDB as well. So we're going to execute few commands where it is going to open the shell for the command to run, and you can start running the command over the particular shell. Third one is using your software language. Since we are dealing with Python, so we can use Python to connect or communicate with the MongoDB. Okay. For doing so, we need to download a special library called PyMongo, which is not basically a default one of Python. You need to install this separately using pip install. So what we're going to do right now is that I'm going to take you to step by step in the means of download as well as installation of Mongo, how to execute the code on Compass, how to open a CLI, and also how to execute the code in Python. So to do all this stuff, what is the basic thing that we're supposed to have? We need to have the MongoDB installed in our system. So let us straight head back to the tool or the website which is going to help you in downloading the Mongo. So look at that. This is the default website of MongoDB where you can do or you can play with whatever the corresponding support they provide. And one of the support they provide is that free source of these downloads. That means it is of open source. Whoever want to download this, they can download it for free. So you can see at the right side corner, it is having the version 5.0.6, which is the latest one. You can download that. Okay. So download might take a bit of time. So meanwhile, what you can do is that open your command prompt, type this pip install pymongo. If this is already available in my system, I no need to do the reinstallation. That's what it is telling to me that Mohan, this is already been there in your system. Requirement already satisfied. If not, you have to download that newly. This is the way to download. Okay, and parallelly, you can download the RoboMongo, the tool for executing the Mongo related stuff. So you can download this. Okay, RoboMongo 3T, or you can download Studio 3T, whatever you want, you can use it. Okay, so this is something that professional ID where you can download it here. Okay, so it is asking some default statement. Let me give mine. Yes, it is downloading. Okay, so what we're doing is that we are parallelly downloading two things. One is MongoDB, and another one what we are doing is that the studio for doing the Mongo related activity. To be telling it in the shortest way, the tool, the GUI for executing Mongo activities. Okay, of course, Mongo will give you a Compass one, which is default tool of MongoDB. Sometimes if you don't have that feasibility or if you don't feel that comfort of working with the Compass, you can download these kind of stuff. Okay, we'll wait for a few minutes. Let this get downloaded. Okay, right. So we are done with download of that particular MongoDB, and we'll see into the installation part. Okay, so let me double click this. Right. So click on next. I accept the terms and click next. So usually it will give you two options, either to go for a complete setup or the customized one. So my preference would be like go for the complete. And here, first option is that install MongoD as a service. Okay, so MongoD is another aspect of MongoDB. Okay, it's another tool inside a MongoDB which is actually going to help us in executing the Mongo related activity in MongoDB shell. So that's what it is asking, whether it should store that as a service. You know that what is service, right? Whatever that runs within your Windows is running because of the corresponding service that is running at the backdrop. If you have a doubt, go to Task Manager, click on this. Okay, click on the services, and you can see these are all the services that is running in your system. Few are running and few are in the stop to mode. So all the running activities, look at that, antivirus is running. So what happened? Antivirus is running as one of the services within your system. So generally in the world, we do have services. People. These are something called as a Windows service, something that you people accessing via the URL, something that you're accessing via the website is what we do call it as web services, servicing via the websites. Okay. I mean, accessing the service via the website is what we call it as web service, and accessing some operation, some services within your window is what we call it as Windows services. That's what it's asking. That is, whether to run the MongoD as a service. Let them be as, and two options. One is to run service as network services. That means it will run as your system user. That's what it says. So you can keep this option, network service user option, and click next. And you can see on the left hand side it is asking whether you need to install the MongoDB Compass as well. You know that I have told you, right? MongoDB Compass is another tool for executing the GUI related activity. So let that be the default one and click on the next. So when you click install, that's it. Everything will be installed by default. So why I'm not doing it right now? Because I already have my MongoDB installed in my system. Okay. So once you're done with the installation, what is the next step usually we do? We'll cross verify whether the MongoDB is properly installed or not in your system. The first thing to check is that, try check this one. Look at that. When you see this MongoDB Compass tool inside your system, that is the first indication that yes, the MongoDB is running in your system. That's first evidence. It is similar to how idle is the confirmation of Python installation. So MongoDB Compass is also the first confirmation that yes, you have had your MongoDB installed in your system. Right now, you can see it is nothing here as of now. Okay, it's an empty tab. When you click on connect, look at it is connecting. Let me click on allow access. Look at that, these are the default DB that I do have within my system. You will be having the first three by default: admin, config, and local. If you ask me, Mohan, how does it got connected? You told MongoDB is running as a service. And everybody knows if something is running on a service in a Windows, obviously it is going to run or it will be running in your local host 127.0.0.1. That's what it is highlighting here. And by default port of the MongoDB is 27017. So in this URL only, the service will be usually running. So if it is running properly, then you can directly click on the connect button as I did. So by default, it will try to connect to the local host and 27017 port by default. To make this connect happen properly, the first thing you need to see is that whether MongoDB is running in your system without any problem. So how do you check? Go to command prompt. Okay, you need to type MongoDB or you need to type MongoD. Now look at that. As soon as I hit MongoD, which is the tool of MongoDB, it is giving me all the prerequisites to running my service, to run my service basically. So now what I can do, I can start executing my code. Okay, not here, on any other command prompt. So MongoD is basically to keep all the prerequisites of the MongoDB related activities to be running on the or to run on the parallel scale. So next what you're supposed to do is that open another command prompt, go there, type Mongo and enter, just Mongo. So now what happened? Look at that, the shell is opened. The shell means the screen that is going to help you for running the Mongo is opened here. You can see the version. I do have older version, but the moment you see when I was doing the download, it was the latest version. I think 5.0.6. That's okay. So by basic, what it says MongoDB got connected to 127.0.0.1, which is basically your local host and your specific port. This is the default one, and this is what the shell is open. So it is always good that you always open the MongoD in other command prompt shell, and then you open this Mongo command inside your system. Okay, so that it will open a shell with the proper prerequisites. Okay, now if you ask me that whether this MongoD and Mongo command will work by default in the command prompt, definitely no, it won't work by default. So what you are supposed to do is that, let me close the both. Let me go to the folder first. So this PC, C drive, program files, and there you see MongoDB, open a server, version, bin, look at that. Look at that. This is where you have your Mongo S and Mongo. This is basically the application which is going to help you in running the MongoDB. So what you have to do is that at first time, the moment that you're done with the installation, come back to this folder structure or the folder path, select the path, and you need to set this path as an environment variable. You know already that how to do the environment variable. If not, you just recollect our previous videos, basically the first two videos. If not, you can recheck it again here. So type environment. You will have this specific button, edit the system environment variable. Click here. Right, you will have this specific system properties tab. Click on the environment variable. There are two kind of environment. One is to give the specific to the user, and another one is to set default in a system. You can set it for your user. Go to path, click on edit. If you don't have a variable called path, you can select new and create. So since I have already has a path, let me click on edit. Look at that. What you can do, go to the last and paste it here. Since I already have here, look at that. At fifth line, I already did this as environment set, but that's okay. I can redo it again. Click on OK, click OK. So now sometime this environment variable will get set in your system as soon as you're done with your system setting how I did. Sometime you may need some restart from your side. So better to do the restart so that the path will set in your system as it is. So once you're done with the system path, once you're done keeping your MongoDB into the environment path, then only you can able to run both the commands, MongoD as well as Mongo. At least Mongo. You can run the Mongo command directly without even worrying about the MongoD. Okay. But keeping MongoD at the backdrop will help you in getting all the special features and prerequisites in a proper way. Okay. So that's the point. So now if someone asks you, Mohan, what happens if I have my system, I don't have any permission to the environment variable? Sometimes if you work for any organization, they would have restricted you in connecting to the environment setting, because that's a very important part of system, right? They would have blocked you from doing the any edit part of it. In that case, how do you run the MongoDB shell without touching the environment variable? This is the option. Come back to the folder, select, type cmd, enter. Now what you can do, type mongo.exe. There you see, it opened the shell by default for you. Again the same thing. Again you're gonna do the same thing. This is how you can run or you can start the MongoDB. Okay, let me clear you again. To make sure that your GUI works fine, you need to make sure that the MongoDB should be running in a system. To run the MongoDB in your system, first you need to run the command called mongod, and then you need to open a command prompt to run the Mongo command. So to run these two commands directly in the command prompt, you need to make sure that you set the path of the MongoDB into the environment variable. That's one way to do it. Second way is that you can directly go to the path, open the path with the command line, and then you can type mongod.exe. Basically, you're running the exe on the particular spot. You can start executing the code here. This is second way. And third way is that open a DB Compass and directly connect. Why you need to connect directly? Because by default, the connection will take the localhost and the basic port what you see on the screen 27017. This is what you're supposed to do. Then if someone asks you what is MongoDB does, it is something kind of a prerequisite which is needed for the MongoDB. It will set some sort of backdrop environment for the successful execution of various DB scripts. So it's better to have the MongoDB running at the backdrop. If that doesn't work properly, no issues. You can run your MongoDB directly like how I did here. Okay, right. So now one more thing that you're supposed to do is that, right. So to run the MongoDB command, you need to do another thing. What is that? You need to create a folder called data inside a C drive. I repeat again, you need to create a data folder inside a C drive, and inside the data folder, you need to create another folder called DB. Okay, keep this setting properly so that the MongoDB will work. Okay, so to work with the MongoDB, you need to make, or to make sure that the MongoDB command works in the command prompt, you need to make this specific folder structure in your C drive. The folder structure is such that inside a C drive, create a data folder, and inside the data folder, you create the DB folder. That's it. That is enough. The moment MongoDB runs, it will run all the corresponding environment structure in this folder structure only. That's what you're supposed to do. That's a basic command only. Nothing to do. This folder will not alter anything with respect to the project that you work, but still to make sure that the MongoDB works, you should have created this folder structure on your system. So this is the way you can initiate your MongoDB execution. Okay. So this is how you need to do the installation and other stuff.